listening to Marketing Evolved podcast with Jason Peterson, Holly Peterson, and Deidre Stevens. During this time, we bring you some of the current marketing stories and, as always, offer up a bit of our unsolicited advice for small and medium-sized businesses based on our industry expertise and knowledge.
And I'm Holly Peterson, and we want to thank you for listening today.
And I am Jason Peterson, and thanks for listening as well.
And if you are one of the thousands and thousands out there who are watching us on Facebook Live, hello. This is our first live today. So let me just give you kind of a rundown of the format and how we work this. So for those unfamiliar with how we do this, we'll give you a quick refresh, and each segment is timed. So Jason will ring our little bell. Give us a demonstration, Jason. To make the best use of your time and our time and the topics that we're talking about. So that's just something that we bear in mind. Just we want you to get value out of this topic and prevent some of us from screwing down the rabbit hole of tangent land, which we do have a tendency to do. So basically, it just keeps us on task. Okay?
All right.
First up today, Deidre.
Woo! Okay,
Take it away.
So I am the pop culture whiz, I guess, here, besides Caitlin, our video intern. So this Sunday is the Oscars, the 2019 Oscars. And so briefly, I'm just going to kind of give you guys some facts, and I think we have some interesting marketing perspective. So, for example, $2.6 million. Yeah, that's the cost of having a 30-second commercial during the Oscars. But that's actually cheap, because this is 50% less than the Super Bowl. And that's according to a Forbes magazine. Some other fast facts. Spike Lee earned his first ever Best Direction Oscar nomination for his film Black Klansman. And this is what I find interesting. Roma is the first Netflix streaming film to be nominated for a Best Picture category. That doesn't say a lot about our generation.
Never heard of it.
Second one is Black Panther is the first Best Picture nominee based on a comic book.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yes,
And it also had the highest of Best Picture nominees, numbering with $200 million budget and grossed over $700 million, and the highest Rotten Tomatoes score of 97%. But this to me is the ultimate fun fact, and what I think sums up our entire generation. Did you know in 1939 the classic Gone with the Wind is the longest Best Picture winner at 238 minutes, or about 4 hours?
Yeah.
This year's longest film in the Best Picture category is A Star is Born at 136 minutes, which is about 2 hours and 27 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
I remember watching Gone with the Wind in 5th grade. It was part of my Civil War curriculum.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I don't think we had to watch it, honestly.
So, I mean,
It's a great movie.
No, I know. It's a classic.
You know, and I put a little thing on here that I have not seen all these movies for the Best Picture, which I think is obviously the most important. But Bohemian Rhapsody, I think, is the best film in the last 10 years. So, that is my kind of story of the week. I thought we could discuss just kind of like, you know, what you think of these movies, and I think it's interesting marketing-wise of our culture, obviously, with those fast facts I just gave you.
Sure. Okay, so I have a confession to make. I think I have watched the Oscars a grand total of maybe 3 times.
Ooh.
And I'm 40. So yeah. I don't know. I was telling Deidre the other day, I have like this burning desire though to have like an Oscar party where everybody dresses up and it's like the Oscar theme, but then I probably wouldn't watch any of it. It's more for the fun.
Yeah, the theme parties, I've heard people do that, but I agree. It's like, I don't know. I used to watch them much more, but they're a challenge. Actually, I saw an article from Steven Spielberg where he's like believing that it needs to be only movies shown in theaters that are up for Academy Awards.
I know. I don't even know half the ones they're talking about.
That's why there's this controversy with this Roma. That's the first Netflix streaming film.
Yeah.
But actually, I found this out from another podcast that technically, for it to be nominated for an Oscar, as long as it's shown in one theater. Oh. So, like Bird Box, technically, yes, it was exclusively on Netflix, but they had a premiere that was shown in a theater. Oh. So then technically it could be nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
I think Steven Spielberg needs to just get with the times.
Well,
I mean, Netflix and Hulu have way more money than some of these big production companies anyways. Besides Disney with a wide $200 million budget for Black, which I've never seen Black Panther, so I don't know.
It's very good. Yeah, I mean, I think that I know what was it, Return of the King, Lord of the Rings. That was like the last sort of like big budget that won Best Picture. So, I mean, most of the time it's more of the Art Nouveau stuff that's not usually the big budget items. So that's the challenge. But I mean, you look at Game of Thrones. I mean, those things are bigger than movie productions, and those are TV. So I think the line is blurred, like you've mentioned, as far as what constitutes a movie.
Well, I think to me, the conversation here is less about even what's nominated and more about the concept of the fact that streaming now and, some of these Netflix and Amazon and things like that they're getting into the game. I mean, I did read that Netflix, I think they're on the idea is that they're supposed to be producing 33 movies a year now, or that's what their projection is for 2019 going into 2020 as well. So, I mean, it will be really interesting to see what they're doing and what they come up with because they get all the big actors too. I mean, let's face it, they're going to go where the money is, and where the opportunity is. And I would love to see some fresh faces out there. How many people are tired of seeing the same actors and actresses in every other movie? I am kind of personally, so I'm on board.
I just think it says a lot. All the Best Picture nominees have something to do with a superhero or like a historical twist or a classic love story. I mean, they're not those like artsy. I mean, a couple of them I looked up a couple of them that I'd never heard of, but most of them are historical films.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it says a lot about our culture and where it's going. Plus, movies are a great conversation starter for our clients, so it's just interesting. But like I made a joke the other day, like I feel like more people, more and more, like you don't say the phrase anymore that I heard it on the radio. You say like, oh, I saw it on Facebook, or I heard it on a podcast. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's my story of the week. Church? Are we going to church?
Yeah, say we got the shame bell there. Speaking of Game of Thrones.
That's a church bell.
All right, Jason, go for it.
Okay, so let's do mine. 2 minutes, ready, go. All right, so for me, the thing I wanted to discuss was web hosting. So this is going to sound like something really boring, and honestly, it's basically been required ever since the internet started, where you have to have your website parked somewhere so that it shows up online. For those that are not techie, which many people we deal with are not, it's a computer called a server, which just sits there, and that computer is connected so that when somebody types in your address, like GenR8marketing.com, all of a sudden, boom, website shows up, and there you go. Now, one of the changes that has happened, and for the most part, it's been a very good thing, is that websites like the ones we create using WordPress, which essentially allows you to update your own website, as we all know. And the byproduct of that is a website is like an operating system. It's like a computer. So there's all these moving parts and pieces, and as a result, there's all kinds of maintenance for plugin updates and patches and things like that. To make things more complicated, now you have, as we know, Equifax, everybody's getting hacked left, right, and center. So WordPress sites that are not updated are like an easy target. We joke and talk with our hosting provider. Usually they're getting attempts to have sites hacked probably at any given second, probably 30 to 40 hack attempts.
Yeah.
So it's continuous. So the biggest challenge for those, I guess, to summarize, is the $9.99 GoDaddy hosting is scary. It's cheaper. Yes, it's. I get that you don't want to spend the time, but at the end of the day, if your site is going to be an important part of your marketing, you need to spend a little bit more money and have somebody responsible for looking behind the scenes and make sure it's up, because at the end of the day, if it gets hacked, you want to have that homeowner's insurance policy that somebody can restore it and get it fixed for you in a timely fashion.
Perfect timing. Thoughts from the peanut gallery?
I know.
This is definitely Jason's space.
I mean, at the end of the day, it really boils down to, we deal with a lot of people that they just get very concerned about, like, we work with a partnered company here in Lincoln. I can mention them as Binary. They're a local company, and to get this service for hosting, it's $59 a month. And clearly, I don't think $59 a month is just something to sneeze at. But on the other hand, people can get very concerned, or they don't understand why you should spend more than $10 a month because GoDaddy has it for free. And
Well, I mean, I would just look at it like any other insurance. I mean,
exactly.
most people don't want to go without health insurance. Most people don't, you can't go without car insurance.
Right.
I mean, if you're in an accident, you're in deep, dark trouble. And so is the person you hit potentially. But I mean, it's just like any other insurance and backup plan. I mean, and if this is going to be a valuable asset for your company and your business, I mean, obviously you need to pay heed to that and do your due diligence there and make sure you're covered.
Yeah, I guess I would just think of it like, I don't want to say it. I don't want to like use a fear appeal here, but I mean, think of the world that we live in today. Like, I mean, you just talked about how like easy it is to get hacked, or our privacy. And that's for anything, whether it's on social, your website. And means just keeping your p's and q's. We tend to little overshare, and people know. I mean, hackers know that. I mean,
Yep.
most of the time, the hackers are people that, I mean, they can just figure something out. I mean,
we make it very easy for them. So you're right. I
yeah.
mean, I think at the end of the day, it's just we've found a lot of people surprisingly are very resistant sometimes to having us help them with that. And I mean, I think on our end, it's not meant to sit and charge them some fee that they don't want to, but it's really to prevent and put their side in their best interest so that if something bad happens, they're taken care of.
Alrighty. My turn.
Holly, go for it.
So, I today am talking about an article specifically that came out of Marketing Tech, and it's about 3 ways marketing will change in 2019. And so, specifically, it gets into positivity, authenticity, and inspiration. Probably not, honestly, a huge shocker since there is so much negativity in the news. And to be frank, this is something that, we constantly coach and preach with our clients too, is like not only be authentic, just be yourself. Don't be some sort of branded voice out there that's truly not you, not how you talk to your customers, or not what your product or service is about. Just be you, because that's what's going to sell at the end of the day, and that's sustainable. That is what you're going to be able to sustain as far as a business practice goes and how you service your clients, regardless of what that is. Raise your hand if you're sick of seeing negative news or negative things coming through the social feeds. Yeah, people get
Both
sick
hands
of
up.
it. Yeah, I mean, it's hide. I mean, there are some people who gravitate towards negativity, let's face it. They're the ones that are typically the ones putting out that information. But it is true. I mean, we want to see positive messaging now. It can't be all negative, right? And then inspirational as well. So that's obviously huge too. That one might be a little tougher to come by, I think, on a regular basis, because we do tell our clients too that, like, not everything you post has to be mind blowing. It just has to hit the right person at the right time. So I think from an inspirational standpoint, that's just something to think about too. Are you spreading the good news? Are you preaching and talking about a quality product or service that you offer? Because if you are, there are so many different ways that you could be inspirational in how you approach that. Thoughts?
I mean, when you said all three of those and then you were talking, I immediately thought of, we should preach our clients and anyone listening to this too. When you say those 3 words, you don't have to like write those down and follow them to a T. It's just kind of a mindset
Agreed.
to think of when you are trying to come up with a social media strategy or anything like that. But I also think of like sharing the love. Facebook or Instagram or any platform that you use is meant to share your connections, share the love. So yeah, if you work with another industry, give them the love. Like on Facebook, like, share, comment. Like, you scratch someone else's back, they're going to scratch yours. And people are going to see that. And I've lately been asking our clients, like, what gets you to buy a product or a service or whatever? Someone who's, positive and authentic and
quality.
Yeah, and I kind of, the inspirational word bothers me because I feel like when people think inspirational, they're like, I need to post my body mantra quote. Like, inspirational 365. And it's like, yes, like being inspiring is great. And
I think it can have several different takes.
Right. Yeah. And you just need to be careful with that, though, because you can just.
Yeah.
I shake my head.
You don't want to go down the cheese factor.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like today, I was just at a local luncheon here for a business group, and for my post, I mean, it's like you said, giving a shout out. There were some great speakers. I really appreciated it. I mean, we talk all about being genuine and authentic, and I agree. I think positivity doesn't have to be cheesy; it just needs to be genuine and real. And I think giving a shout out to clients, you know, appreciation for those things, employees. I mean, those are easy things to do, and those always make for good posts. So, I mean, we always talk about, and I know you two are in the weeds with the social of, is people are the most successful components of social media content.
Or leave, simply a review.
Yeah.
Right.
Ding, ding, ding,
Well,
ding.
and that's the
Novel
biggest
concept.
Yeah, that is the biggest breakup with a brand, is if they figure out or find out that you're not being authentic or you're not selling what you're really selling. So that's just something to be leery of, but at the same time, it's a positive take. And I'm really, as far as that trend goes, yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing that develop and get better.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I just want people to know, though, it's just a guideline. Take those words, process them, and then apply them to yourself, because everyone's gonna have a different look on positivity or what have you.
Yep.
To yourself.
Ding.
Ding.
All right.
Next up.
Next we got a listener question from Dan, and this is where we try to really focus on like some marketing questions that we have. If you ever have any questions, you can put them on our Facebook page, Instagram, email us. You know how to get a hold of us.
Whatever.
Text us. So we're going to really focus on something marketing related. This is from Dan. And Dan wants to know, is Twitter dead? Why would you use this platform?
Okay, so let's break this into millennial and Xer. Let's start with Holly. What do you think?
Is Twitter dead? It's not dead, but it's dead from an everyday Joe Schmo user perspective. And when I'm saying that, I'm not saying that you can't get on there and follow the trends and see things that are reporting. Like I know, for example, Deidre, you get on there to look at like Bachelor News or something like that. Like you want to see what people are saying. That's fine. I mean, it's a useful platform as like sort of a news ticker kind of thing. But you becoming some sort of mega influencer on an individual level, it's going to be tough to make that happen. As a small business, it's going to be tough to make that happen. There has to be some pivotal things that really resonate with your audience. And even then, still, it might be a super like niche audience, Mm-hmm. So do we usually recommend Twitter to our clients? Not really. In fact, we say, please don't spin your wheels being concerned about being on that platform. And if you are eventually on that platform, it's generally speaking like an evolution. And you really need to kind of master the basics of like Facebook and Instagram, and some of those more prevalent platforms where your audience is much wider anyway. So that's my take on it. Is it dead? Kinda, yeah. Deidre?
What do you think, Deidre?
Well, remember, I'm the weirdo millennial. When I think of Twitter, I think of news. So yeah,
that's
like
that's why I associated.
So like I guess I do. Like I remember when Twitter came out in the ripe old age of 2009, and that was how I connected to Justin Bieber. Okay, I sent many tweets to Justin Bieber, telling him how much I loved him and how I could potentially be the future Mrs. Bieber. Well, that clearly didn't happen, but that's how we felt connected. And now with Instagram, like I'm totally way more connected to these influencers and celebrities than ever. But Twitter was that first platform that let me do so. But yeah, I do like that Twitter, keeps all the Bachelor stuff concise, or if a news story breaks out, it's all with the same hashtags. Like, it's easy to follow that. But I'm telling you, in the morning, that's where I get my local and my national news. As I scroll through my Twitter, check all the various different, stations or whatever, and then that's it. And if I really want to read an article, I'll click on the article, but I can get a lot out of 280 characters, and that's enough. And Twitter, to me, I think is a lot funnier for that news standpoint. Like, these political people can go back and forth, and it's, like, all on the same feed, and I don't have to hear about it later on. So, I don't know. I still do use Twitter pretty actively, but that's because...
But are you tweeting?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay.
But I'm tweeting stupid stuff. Like, I'm not kidding you. If my phone wasn't there, I'd tell you. I'm either tweeting about, here are my main categories, The Bachelor, wine, some random thought I had of the day, like... I think the last thing I really tweeted about was, like, the weather.
Okay.
So, like, nothing great. But if you really want to know my personality, I encourage you to check out my Twitter feed.
What is your drive? Okay, so, like, for people who are wanting to do Twitter, which is fine. If you want to do Twitter, that's great. What drives you to tweet?
I think just, like I said, like, if people really want to get to know me, like, I'm not afraid to tweet something.
Yeah.
Just... And so I think Twitter is another way for me to express myself
Sure.
without putting myself in front of a camera,
Right.
like on Instagram
Okay.
or Snapchat. So
Fair enough.
So I'm apt to tweet something like a GIF, like, oh, this is how I'm feeling, because that to me is funnier than sticking myself up on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's what drives me to tweet. So
Now, my question though is, do you have people interacting with you? Because that's the thing is like, if it's one direction, and I did that for a while too, where there we go, fixed. Is I was using it, but I mean nobody responded. So on my end, I watch it more for the news. I watch it like I know during Husker games, I'm always watching that. That's a lot of fun. So like events and so forth. So, but I don't necessarily post. So I tend to use it to follow things and see stuff. But my question for you is, do you have friends that respond, comment, or is it just into the wind and then it's just
depends on the tweet. I do have a select group. I have a select group of friends that do tweet back at me if they see something funny or what have you. If it relates to the office, I usually get a tweet back. But actually, shout out to Nebraska Wesleyan and hashtag PR3300 for my public relations class. We had to have a Twitter account and tweet things that were PR related, marketing related, and we had to comment about it. And that grew my following as well. And it showed me the power of putting a tweet out there and having a conversation about it. So that I'm thankful for that, but no, I have maybe 300 followers, and I'm sure 100 of them are spam accounts. The world we live in.
So what makes you want to follow a business, for example, on Twitter?
If they're funny,
okay,
in person, I mean, like you said with the 3 words, if they are positive, if they're authentic, or they're inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
But I also Twitter is good for the banter. So, like Wendy's, for example, they're really good at having the banter of bashing other people. I think that's great. I don't know. I remember the day the guy tweeted, like, hey, I want free chicken nuggets for a year. And Wendy's was like, yeah, if you get, like, 100,000 retweets. It's like, I've seen those things go viral. Like, I've seen things go viral on Twitter. And so I've seen things go out in the wind and stick, and I've also had very inspirational tweets that probably haven't stick. So what gets me to follow businesses if they're authentic, they don't have to update it all the time, but if they are definitely like, I do follow a couple clients businesses that are probably active in the political arena and they should be commenting on certain things. That's the avenue to do so. If they see a Journal Star article, I'd rather them comment it there and put it on that feed than ever post it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because I think Facebook is saturated with that, where Twitter it's concise. It's all right there.
That's an interesting take on that, though. I can't say I've ever heard someone say that before, where you're saying Facebook, Instagram, that's not where politics belong, but Twitter, if you're wanting to explore that,
I agree with that.
That might be a better location for it.
I agree
Something
with
to
that.
consider.
Well, look at the big guy in the White House, or skinny guy, whoever
or
you want, or whoever you want to call him. Like that's. I mean, think about it. I mean, and this is maybe speaks to my age, but I can tell you right now, this president and the last president, I probably found out more like news, like breaking news before it even hit Fox, CNN, or anything. I found out on Twitter. Like, I mean, for me, a standing moment and that I'll never forget was when that Las Vegas shooting happened in October of 2017. I found out it was happening because in the moment, these people were like tweeting on the scene. So I knew it was happening before it even broke.
Yeah.
So I feel connected to Twitter in that sense.
Yeah.
I think the greatest challenge for our listeners and for businesses has been, and this is true, before Donald Trump was president, Twitter's business model was eroding, and they were about ready to go out of business because their advertising products are either extremely expensive or difficult for a small business to use. So I think, to Deidre's point, this is where Facebook and to some degree Instagram has kind of solved those problems is they make money, a lot of it. Twitter is figuring that out, but, again, I think they all play a role. And like, you've mentioned, I like the idea of the conversations that take place on Twitter are definitely different than the conversations on Instagram and Facebook. And hence, you're going to have, the polarization is not going to occur necessarily because that is the place for that conversation. That's a good point.
Whereas, if you're a small business and you really want like a sale or something to stick, that's where I think Facebook, you can boost it. You can promotions, the back end. There's so much more to make it stick, whereas you're just throwing something out there to throw something out there. That's what Twitter's for.
Alrighty. Question of the day.
Question of the day. This is where you guys get to know us a little bit better. So quick story, because this is really going to show our generation ages. I was talking to Jason last Friday. He was talking about iMessage. I don't remember the whole conversation, but he said this phrase that I even wrote down on a blue sticky note. Proof that says, iMessage is what BlackBerry Messenger used to be.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, that right there. And so then Jason went out to his office, and I will post the picture on our GenR8 social media later, but I have a picture of his BlackBerry,
Indeed.
old BlackBerry,
Yes.
next to my iPhone Max X phone. And
It's kind of funny they've gotten bigger.
Oh my gosh. It's like a little...
It is...
It's...
Oh, when I saw that side by side, I literally was like, wow, what 10 what I mean, that's 10 years.
It was exactly 10 years.
And so, so for all, yeah. So I thought I would share that because it was really funny. So my question of the day is, speaking of that, what fad or trend do you hope comes back or never comes back? Holly, what trend?
Is this tech or not tech or anything?
It can be anything.
Okay.
I'm going with whatever because
So I have two. So I'll do I hope what comes back, even if it's like a novelty type of option.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then what never comes back. What comes back, I would love to see rotary phones come back. I just have
Those things are awesome.
I just have these fond memories of like calling my grandma when I was little and like just it's such an intentional thing, you know? I am not someone who enjoys talking on my phone. I would much rather like email or text. I'm not a phone talker. But there is something about cradling that phone, that you know, that handset, that to your I don't know, it's just it's almost like writing a letter or writing a thank you note. It's a very intentional thing that you're doing. You're reaching out to someone, obviously, hello from the other side, hoping that they will reach back to you, you know? And when they do, it's a different level of connection.
Do you miss like the phone or the dialing? Because I'm telling you, I think on Amazon they make an attachment that you can literally put on your phone.
I did. I actually purchased one that's like the color of my. It was like totally something out of like the 90s or 80s or whatever you want to say, both. And my kids play with it now because it doesn't work on my phone. At the time, it was like an Android, I think. But anyway, but the jack is different on it now. So I did actually. What I did, I used it in my office to make phone calls that I knew were going to take a little bit longer because it just was so much more comfortable. I didn't necessarily want to have someone on speaker the whole time, you know. So like, and even now, I don't ever hold this to my ear. I put someone on speaker if I can.
Throwback for you. I was watching the movie Valentine's Day. Let's speak last Valentine's.
Yeah.
Do you want me to get you one of those Bluetooths?
Gosh, I used that plenty when we were dating.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yeah, we did, and they were always terrible.
Oh, they had those in the movie, and I was like, oh God, Kevin, look what's in their ears. Like that used to be a thing.
Well, there's still people.
And there's still people that do walk around with them, which is just weird.
Yeah. So moving on from that,
yeah.
the one I don't want to see ever come back, which it already kind of has.
Oh no.
Is tight rolling jeans. Oh my gosh.
Tight rolling jeans?
It was so much pressure to have tight roll jeans all the time and the
It
perfect
was.
tight roll. Okay, so you wore jeans. Usually there was a bit of a taper already to them at the bottom.
Ooh.
I mean, they're not too different from skinny jeans, although these weren't so skinny. And you had to do this special little rolling technique. And you had to fold it over.
Yes.
Get the
we need to
fold
demonstrate
just
this.
right, and then you had to tight roll it.
And you
at
needed
least twice. See how it pops out?
It had to be perfect, and this
and
was
after a while,
art.
it would wear out, and so you would always have to constantly redo your tight roll. I remember doing that on the playground in junior high, and just thinking even then how much I hated it. So I do not want that to come back.
Okay, like it.
Jason?
Okay, so in the same vein of the phone, okay, so we're all dealing with smartphones and eliminating the headphone jack. Holy cow, dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
I am so annoyed, and frankly, here's my thing. The headphone jack has been a standard for literally over like 115 years, okay? It's good. It works. Now, Bluetooth is great, but the problem is it's a battery. So all of a sudden it's going to die. Now, then you have adapters, and I know for us with sound and things, you can't capture stuff. So I got to be honest. I'd like to believe there's going to be a backlash eventually where people are like, "Dude, just give us a headphone jack
Enough
back."
is enough.
So I'm very. It didn't bother me initially, but now that I've had a Droid and an iPhone that doesn't have it, gosh, what a pain.
See, I'm gonna be the uber millennial and say my AirPods are gorgeous. They are the best investment I ever made.
But what happens if the battery dies and you don't have your?
Well, I'm self-conscious and aware of my battery, and I keep track of it.
But
because,
it's like,
but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it was annoying at first, but oh man, I just go with the flow. It's so great.
We just have like a charging station at our home with like 15 devices, and
None of which
it's ridiculous.
are mine.
Yeah, it's all on me. So trust me, I totally get it. But okay, so that's my thing that needs to come back. Second, in Holly's sort of same, I like your trends.
The fashion.
Acid wash jeans.
Oh, honey, those are already back.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that's like a.
See, this is the problem.
Like the one strap down overall.
for the
I
love.
mean, it's there.
Overalls are done.
See, okay. See, this is why she helps me with my fashion, because when you're over 40 and you're a dude, you just might as well just give up. So it's basically my wife that helps, and then my daughter's helping me too as she gets older. So, okay, never mind. I'll just move on.
You're irrelevant.
I am, yeah.
Oh, well, I'll make you feel better. So the trend that I love, and it's kind of come in and out, but I think this last winter I've really noticed it. I love my UGG boots, and I hope UGG boots never go away.
UGG, isn't that the first part of ugly?
BRB, I'm gonna go cry in the bathroom. I absolutely
haven't quite figured out the UGG thing.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love them so much, and I'm
more of a Birkenstock guy. But continue.
Do you wear socks and sandals?
I did back in the day. In high school, we did wear socks. I
love socks and sandals, but I digress. Anyway, so I hope UGG boots never go away. The trend that I hope never ever comes back is gaucho pants. I hate gaucho pants, and I remember I used to go to Limited Too and buy one in brown and one in black. I absolutely hated gaucho pants, and I hope to God they never come back.
It could be worse. It could be MC Hammer pants.
Or Z Cavariccis.
I've never heard of that, but
they were like MC Hammer pants.
My grandma was so amazing at sewing that she actually sewed my sister Cassie several pairs of MC Hammer pants.
Oh my goodness!
Shout out to Cassie.
I'm pretty dang sure there's some documentation.
That's awesome. We need to find those and post them.
I really kind of want some. I mean, I'm down for some MC Hammer pants.
Everything is repurposed over time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad we
that really awesome thought.
Well, I'm gonna go home and put on my UGG boots.
With your gaucho pants.
There are women like Kim Kardashian in 2007 that did that, okay?
And you better tweet that sucker out.
Hashtag blessed. Inspired.
Hashtag fashion icon.
Hashtag inspirational quote. All right. Anyway, so we're going to end on our final thought.
Deep thoughts with Deidre?
I need like a deep hello voice for that.
Snowmageddon.
So final thought. So kind of our final thought is just the kind of the tip to wrap things up for all of you listening for marketing help. I was telling Jason and Holly before the show, I swear that we live in a time warp. Like, we as an agency, or not even a company, have to think like 3 months in advance just because we want to be. Oh.
R2D2.
I have an R2D2 in the house. Continue.
But anyways, like, we just have to constantly be thinking, like, for example, when Valentine's Day, when we knew that was coming up, and we were thinking about that before Christmas, honestly. So just thinking of holidays and, so as a business, if you have a big sale that you're doing or a promotion that you really want to emphasize, don't plan it on social media 2 weeks before. You should have a strategy in place at least a month or 2 months ahead. That way it goes well, it all makes sense, we can track data, things like that. So I just think, it may be snowing outside right now, but do be thinking ahead. Be thinking of summer, especially if you do have big business plans in 2019.
Or that's even when you do the bulk of your business.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the following season.
So just planning ahead is my final thought and tip to all of you wonderful people. Thoughts?
I would agree. I mean, I think we talk about trying to break these down into chunks and pieces. So like when we meet with someone, whenever if it's always done in the reactionary mode, like, oh my gosh, I need to send or come up with something. To me, plan in advance. Anything that's not date sensitive, and like we always say, if somebody's going to post or we're doing it 3 times a week, that's 12 pieces of content. So when you look at it that way, it's not as intimidating, and then you just break it down. So obviously, we're always here if people want to crowdsource for any ideas, but I love it. Plan in advance. It's a good thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, you were listening to Marketing Evolved. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week.
All right, guys.
Woo.